Alright, hello everyone. Welcome to another lecture here in Understanding the Self. Today, we're going to talk about the self according to sociology. This is part 1. For those of you who may be wondering, ano ba yung sociology? Sociology is a field of knowledge under the social sciences where sociologists study social institutions. So the keyword here is institutions. These are big groups that exist in a society such as the following: media, pamilya mo, government, the church, peers, schools. Other societies may have other institutions na wala dito, but basically these institutions overlap across many societies. Okay? Now, I would like you to recall a favorite moment that you had with the following groups. Speaking of groups, no, we have family, school activity, church, barkada, social event. Okay, you can pause the video if you need to as you do this exercise. Now, we did this in our synchronous class, and let me just repeat what was the point of this activity. The point was to make you realize that almost all aspects of ourselves are shaped by these groups of people that surround us. These different institutions, they have a lot of things to say. They had a lot of influence to who we are right now. Diba? I mean, just ask yourself right now, and honestly, do you think this had an effect on who you are right now? Kung sino ka man ngayon, the choices that you make, everything that you are doing, what are the things that you believe in? Can you say that more or less those things about you have been affected, have been influenced by these groups that surround your life? Kaya nga, no, we can re-examine this statement. To what extent are you shaped by the groups around you? The keyword here is shape. Another keyword is groups. Is it possible that a large part of yourself, or almost all aspects of yourself, have been shaped by the groups around you? Could it be that this is our existential situation now? Akala mo you are different. Akala mo unique ka. Akala mo you have made your own pieces. Without you realizing it, it's actually the hands of the groups that surround us that have shaped us to who we are right now. Like, let's be more specific, okay? Halimbawa, when it comes to your convictions, beliefs that you really believe in with all your heart. Yung ipaglalaban mo, you're going to fight for it. It's called convictions. Do you think this is your own conviction, or at some point your convictions were influenced by any of these groups? How about your habits? Your everyday habits? Ikaw lang ba talaga nag-develop ng habits na yan, or maybe these groups along the way taught you to do those habits, whether good habits or bad habits? Yung pag-exercise mo, if you have some vices, nagve-vape ka, umiinom ka, do you think at some point these groups have contribution to your habits, your study habits, what else, your relationship habits? Is it just you? Did you just make your own decision to have that habit? Or maybe somebody here taught you? How about your sense of faith? Let's say having a strong faith, or the reverse, having a weak faith, or having no faith. Who do you think influenced you the most when it comes to your faith? Whether you are closer to God or far from God, or you don't believe in God. Meron kayang grupo dito at some point influence your current status of faith? How about your future plans? After graduation, where would you go? What would you do? After marching in PICC, what's next? Are you going to work abroad? Are you going to pursue further studies? Are you going to go on leave and have your vacation somewhere in Europe? Whatever plans you have, was that just you? Or somewhere along the way your plans were influenced by the groups right here? How about your achievements, past tense? Identify one achievement you have that you are so proud of. Talagang proud na proud ka sa achievement na to. Given that achievement, do you think you could have achieved that without the help of any of these groups? Do you think at some point someone in these groups contributed to your sense of achievement? Or how about your failures, yung mga kabiguan ninyo? You attempted something, it didn't work. Do you think the reason why it didn't work is because somewhere in this group, somebody here contributed to that failure. And of course, most importantly, choices. After all, that's what they say. We are the sum of all the choices that we make in life. Now, if you sum up all the past choices you've made, that determines where you are right now, do you think those choices were made just by yourself? Or somewhere along the way, in all those choices, somebody here was involved? Does that make sense? By doing this exercise, and if you are going to be honest to yourself, what would you realize? That at some point, we are very much influenced, we are very much shaped by the groups that surround us. And that is not necessarily bad, as we are going to discuss in the second part. Wag nyo naman sanang sabihin na, o wag nyo naman sanang i-consider na yung mga groups sa paligid natin masasama because they are influencing us, stealing our freedom from us. There is a right way, there is a right perspective on how to view groups in our lives. For the meantime, let's just pick up from where we left off. We can just accept this working principle that groups can definitely shape the self. But another question is, how does that happen? I mean, when a group influences a piece of you, it does not happen immediately or overnight. There is a process behind it. And that's what I'm going to discuss next. What are the different phases that we undergo before a certain group can influence who we are? Phase 1, we have power in numbers. Phase 2, we have self-diffusion. Okay, so anong ibig sabihin ng power in numbers? Power in numbers means this one. Power in numbers means, say you are the minority and you are observing from afar the majority. Okay? Now, this majority that you are observing, they are doing something unitedly, they are doing something wholeheartedly, they are doing something as if they all believe in that. They are so unified in the things that they do. And you call that, in sociological terms, unanimity. They are so unanimous in doing something. Lahat sila pare-pareho ng, for example, course preference. Lahat sila pare-pareho ng pananamit, naka-long sleeves and necktie. Lahat sila naka-color red. Lahat sila naka-color pink. Lahat sila naka-jeans. Just add to the list kung saan sila pare-pareho. In politics, this is very obvious in voting. Lahat sila, ito ang kandidato. All of them cannot see any weaknesses of this candidate. They tend to worship this candidate. They really believe that this candidate is the best candidate to be the president. No doubt. No one is doubting. Everyone is so sure. Or, when it comes to morality, it seems like this group really believes that something is bad and this something is wrong. No doubt. They are so sure. 100% sure. Now, if you are the minority and you are observing that kind of majority, again, anong tawag dyan? You call that unanimity. And according to sociologists, that sense of unanimity is so attractive for the minority. Attractive in what terms? It's so attractive that the minority is ready to let go of their own uniqueness and join the majority. They want to be like the majority. Why? Because they would think maybe the majority knows something that we don't. And we don't like to miss it. So anong gagawin? Pupunta sila sa majority. Sounds familiar? In psychological terms, ang tawag nila dyan is the bandwagon effect. Let me read. A psychological phenomenon in which people do something primarily because other people are doing it, regardless if it's right or wrong, regardless if it makes sense or not. That's the power of unanimity. You get my point? So going back, those are the two phases before a group can shape us. We see the power in numbers, and then we let go of our own beliefs, our own uniqueness to join the majority. One experiment that more or less visualizes these two phases was the experiment done by Solomon Asch. We discussed this in our classroom, but let me just repeat again. In the experiment by Solomon Asch, imagine you enter his laboratory and you see 5 people in the laboratory aside from you. And then the experimenter enters the room. What happens? You will be asked, all of you will be asked this question. Let me zoom this in. Given the target line, which one, A, B, or C, has the exact length equivalent to the target line, which is the correct answer is letter C, and the obviously wrong answer is letter A. Now, going back to that laboratory, there are 6 people, including you, who will answer that question. But without you knowing it, the 5 people are the accomplices of the experimenter. Sa Tagalog, kasabwat ng experimenter. The experimenter paid them to do something in the laboratory. So the fact is, you were the only one who is in that laboratory who will be tested. So what happens is, these 5 people that the experimenter knows, they will intentionally give the wrong answer, each one of them. And they will be giving their answers publicly. They will verbalize their answers and say that the correct answer is letter A. So imagine that. 5 people before you will give you the wrong answer. You will hear them give the obviously wrong answer, which is letter A. So person 1 says letter A. Person 2 says it's letter A. Person 3 says it's letter A. Person 4 says it's letter A. Person 5 says it's letter A. Now it's your turn. What do you think will you answer? Based on the experiments by Solomon Asch, what did it reveal? According to his experiment, most people, majority of the participants, they went along with the group. Even if they know that the correct answer is letter C and letter A is the wrong answer, the fact that everybody says A is the correct answer, the participants joined the group in saying that A is the correct answer. Does that make sense? That's the power in numbers leading to self-diffusion. Nasaan yung power in numbers? Unanimity. Going back to that experiment, diba? Nasaan yung unanimity from person 1 to person 5, lahat sila letter A, and they seem so sure. They seem so confident. So what happens? By the time it's now the turn of the person, what happens? Self-diffusion. I am willing to let go of my belief that the correct answer is letter C, and I'm gonna join them saying it's letter A. Yun is self-diffusion. That is phase 2. Does that make sense? That's why, in connection to that, let me ask you a question. What are the things you follow in life simply because many people are doing it? Even if sometimes those things or the thing that the majority is doing is not right. Sabi nga ni Solomon Asch, no, based on his experiment, meron siyang quotable quote, it's very interesting, the tendency to conformity in our society is so strong that reasonably intelligent and well-meaning young people are willing to call white black. Yung tama nagiging mali, yung mali nagiging tama, because it depends on what the group believes in. So if the belief of the majority is reversed, wrong becomes right, right becomes wrong, you don't go along with what's right and what's wrong, you go along with what the group dictates. Another reflection question in connection to that, have you let go of something right simply because all of them are not right? Did that ever happen to you? Alam mong mali naman yung ginagawa mo, pero ginagawa mo na lang din because everyone is doing it anyway. So you let go of what is right. Diba? Now, in connection to that question, and in connection to Solomon Asch, what do you think or how do you think that affects the self? When you call good as quote as evil or evil as good in the moral realm. I mean, when you talk about this in the ethics level in philosophy, diba? The study of right and wrong, ethics. Do you think at some point this will affect the quality of yourself? You call good evil and evil as good? What do you think? Pause the video and think about it. And then reflect yourself. How about you? Have you been calling good evil and evil good? And do you think, by doing that, meron bang mga effects sa'yo yan? And what are the effects? Is it increasing the quality of yourself or decreasing the quality of yourself? Those are good questions to ask. Another point of reflection, what beliefs are you doubting now because they don't agree with you? Have you experienced having a certain belief that you are so certain about, siguradong sigurado kang tama, but right now you are doubting it because many people around you, or maybe the group that you belong to right now, its members are all doubting what you believe in. And so from certainty, now you move to confusion. Dati-rati sure ka, ngayon hindi na. Litong-lito ka na. Simply because they don't agree with you. Could it be, in that group, could it be that the group is the one right and not you? Posible din ba yan? Di ba dinadoubt ka nila dito? Connected yan eh. From this question to this question, could it be that their reasons for doubting your belief is not the right reason? You got it right. They got it wrong. But since there are more, since there are many, you believe that they are right and you're wrong. When all the while, you are right and they are wrong. Think about that. And could it be, last question for this part, when we talk about groups, that one way to improve yourself, to have a better self, it means to improve the quality of the group that you belong to. Hindi kaya ganon? If you want to increase the quality of yourself, increase the quality of your groups. But what do you mean by quality groups? What should be the standard for you to know if your group is of good quality so that you can improve yourself to be better quality? We talk about that in the next part. Alright? So that's my very short lecture of the self according to sociology. The keyword here is the power of groups in shaping the self. So I will see you in part 2. If you have any questions on this lecture, ilagay nyo lang sa comment section. Sir Howard here. God bless everyone. Bye-bye.